There is a book that has existed in one form or another for thousands of years, and yet most people who encounter it put it down within the first few pages. Not because it is poorly written, not because it is boring, but because something in them is not yet ready to hear what it says. They feel a strange discomfort, a resistance they cannot name, and they close the cover and walk away. Then one day, sometimes years later, sometimes decades, they pick it up again, or it finds its way back to them, through a friend, a stranger, a shelf. They were not even browsing, and this time every single line lands like it was written specifically for them. Every sentence feels like a mirror. Every paragraph dissolves something they have been carrying. And they wonder how they missed it the first time. They wonder how the same words could have meant nothing before and now mean everything. But here is the part that will change how you understand not just books, but reality itself. The book did not change. The words on the page are identical. What changed was the reader. What changed was the field of consciousness that opened the cover. And that shift, that invisible threshold between not ready and ready, is the most important doorway you will ever walk through. Because once you understand how it works, you become something that very few people ever become. You become untouchable. Not hard, not closed, not armored against the world. Untouchable in the way that water is untouchable. Things pass through you without leaving damage. You respond without being controlled. You feel everything and are owned by nothing. And the book that teaches this, the one that keeps appearing when the student is ready, is not hidden because someone locked it away. It is hidden because your own perception filters it out until you have suffered enough, questioned enough, and surrendered enough to finally see what was always right in front of you. The text I am talking about has gone by many names across many centuries. In the West, fragments of it surfaced in Hermetic philosophy, in the writings attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, in the Emerald Tablet with its famous line, "As above, so below, as within, so without." In the East, it took the form of the Tao Te Ching, 81 verses written by Lao Tzu, or perhaps not written by any single person at all, but distilled from an oral tradition so old that no one can trace its origin. It appeared in the Upanishads, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Diamond Sutra. It wove itself through the Stoic meditations of Marcus Aurelius and the mystical poetry of Rumi and Meister Eckhart. It is not one physical book. It is one teaching that keeps incarnating in different languages, different centuries, different covers, because the truth it carries is not cultural, it is structural. It describes the actual architecture of consciousness and reality, and that architecture does not change based on who is looking at it. It only reveals itself based on whether the one looking has developed the capacity to perceive it. Think about that for a moment. Not metaphorically, literally. There is a principle in quantum mechanics called the measurement problem, and it describes something that still unsettles physicists more than a century after it was first observed. When you set up the classic double-slit experiment, you send particles, photons or electrons, toward a barrier with two narrow openings. If you do not observe which slit each particle passes through, they behave like waves. They create an interference pattern on the detector screen behind the barrier, a pattern that only makes sense if each particle somehow passed through both slits simultaneously and interfered with itself. But the moment you place a detector at one of the slits, the moment you observe which path the particle takes, the interference pattern vanishes. The particles start behaving like discrete objects, passing through one slit or the other, never both. The act of observation collapses the wave of possibility into a single definite outcome. Now, physicists will rightly tell you that this observation effect operates at the quantum scale and that extending it directly to human experience involves a leap that the math does not support. And that is fair. But here is what is also true. The pattern it reveals, that what you are capable of perceiving determines what reality presents to you, is not just a quantum curiosity. It is something you have experienced in your own life more times than you can count. You have looked directly at an opportunity and not seen it. You have heard advice that later turned out to be exactly what you needed. I want to ask you something. If you already know what you want, and you already believe it is possible, why is it not here yet? There is something underneath all of it, quietly running the show. I am hosting a free live transmission where I walk you through exactly what that is and how to finally shift it at the root. The link to register is in the description below. Save your seat. The moment you see this, you will understand why you could not see it before and dismissed it in the moment. You have read a sentence in a book and felt nothing, then read the same sentence 3 years later and felt it crack something open inside your chest. The information did not change. Your observational capacity did. Your internal instrument was recalibrated by experience, by suffering, by the slow accumulation of readiness, and suddenly you could detect a signal that was always being broadcast. This is what the Forbidden Book teaches, not forbidden by any authority, forbidden by your own unreadiness. And the teaching at its core, the one that appears in every incarnation across every tradition, can be distilled into a single uncomfortable truth. You are not a person to whom reality happens. You are the field in which reality takes shape. And the moment you truly understand this, not intellectually, but in your cells, in your nervous system, in the way you breathe and move and respond, you become untouchable, because you stop fighting the surface of things and start operating from the depth where things are formed. If this is already starting to shift something in you, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss what comes next. Let me show you what this actually looks like in practice. Because if I leave it at the level of philosophy, it remains just another beautiful idea that changes nothing. Consider what happens inside your body when someone insults you. Not what you think happens, what actually, physiologically happens. There is a cascade. The words enter through your auditory system and are processed in the temporal lobe. Within milliseconds, your amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, evaluates the input. If the words match a pattern your nervous system has learned to classify as dangerous, and it learned this in childhood, long before you had any say in the matter, the amygdala fires. It sends a signal to your hypothalamus, which activates the sympathetic branch of your autonomic nervous system. Adrenaline and cortisol flood your bloodstream. Your heart rate increases. Your muscles tense. Blood moves away from your digestive organs and toward your limbs. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thought, empathy, long-term planning, begins to go offline. All of this happens in roughly 300 milliseconds, a third of a second. Before you have formed a single conscious thought about what was said, your body has already decided you are under attack and has mobilized for war. Now here is the part that matters. Between that 300 millisecond cascade and your response, there is a gap. Viktor Frankl pointed to this gap when he wrote that between stimulus and response there is a space, and in that space is our freedom. But what he did not fully articulate, because his context was survival and meaning-making in the concentration camps, is that this gap is not just psychological, it is ontological. It is a gap in the fabric of automatic reality. It is the moment where the wave function of your response has not yet collapsed. Multiple futures exist simultaneously in that space. You could react from the old pattern, the one your amygdala chose for you before you were old enough to speak. Or you could respond from something deeper, something that is watching the entire cascade without being swept up in it. Every version of the Forbidden Book, every incarnation of this perennial teaching, is ultimately pointing at this gap. The Tao Te Ching calls it Wu Wei, which is usually translated as non-action, but actually means something closer to non-forced action. Action that arises from alignment rather than effort. The Bhagavad Gita frames it as Nishkama Karma, action without attachment to outcome. The Stoics called it the inner citadel, the place within you that external events cannot reach. Modern neuroscience calls it the capacity for cognitive reappraisal, the ability to reframe a stimulus before the emotional response fully crystallizes. Different languages, different centuries, same gap, same doorway. And what lives on the other side of that doorway is what I mean by untouchable. Being untouchable does not mean you stop feeling. This is the mistake most people make when they first encounter these teachings. They think detachment means numbness. They think non-reactivity means suppression. They try to become a stone wall, and they end up more brittle than they were before, because a wall that does not bend eventually shatters. True untouchability is more like what happens to light when it passes through a prism. The light does not resist the prism. It does not fight the glass. It enters. It is separated into its component frequencies, and it emerges transformed, more fully expressed than it was before. The prism does not damage the light. It reveals what was always inside it. An untouchable person lets experience pass through them the same way. The insult enters, the grief enters, the fear enters, but instead of being captured by it, instead of the energy getting stuck and becoming a story they repeat for years, it moves through. It is felt fully and then released, not because they are trying to let go, because there is no internal structure rigid enough to hold on to it. This is the difference between a person who has read the book and a person the book has read. When you simply read the words, you collect concepts. Detachment, presence, surrender. You add them to your intellectual inventory and feel slightly superior at dinner parties. But when the book reads you, when the teaching penetrates past your conceptual mind and into your nervous system, something structural shifts. You do not learn a new idea. You lose an old limitation. And that loss is what makes you untouchable. Because the thing that was touchable, the thing that could be hurt and destabilized and thrown off center, was never actually you. It was a pattern, a habit of identity, a collection of conditioned responses masquerading as a self. I want to pause here and ask you something. Think about a moment in your life when something you had been carrying for years suddenly lost its weight. Maybe a belief about yourself, maybe a grudge, maybe a fear you thought was permanent. What was it? And what finally caused it to release? Drop it in the comments, because your experience might be the exact thing someone else needs to hear right now. Let me take you into a specific experience to show you what I mean. Think about the last time you lay in bed at night, unable to sleep, because your mind would not stop rehearsing a conversation. Maybe it was a conversation that already happened, and you were replaying it, editing your lines, imagining what you should have said. Or maybe it was a conversation that had not happened yet, and you were pre-living it, scripting both sides, feeling the emotional charge of words that no one had actually spoken. Notice what was happening in your body during that rehearsal. Your jaw was probably tight. Your shoulders were probably lifted slightly toward your ears. Your breathing was probably shallow and concentrated in your upper chest. Your heart rate may have been elevated. Your body was responding to the conversation as though it were real, as though it were happening right now, in the room, with the other person standing in front of you. But no one was there. The room was dark and quiet. The only thing generating the entire experience, the tension, the emotion, the adrenaline, was your own consciousness. Your own capacity to generate a reality so vivid that your nervous system could not distinguish it from an actual event. This is not a flaw. This is a power. But it is a power that, unrecognized, destroys you. Because if your consciousness can generate a reality convincing enough to trigger a full stress response in the absence of any external stimulus, then it is also generating the reality you walk through during the day. Not in the crude sense that you are hallucinating your life, but in the precise sense that your perception is selecting, filtering, interpreting, and constructing your experience from a field of infinite possibility. And it is doing so based on patterns that were installed in you before you had any conscious participation in the process. The Forbidden Book, in every one of its forms, is trying to show you this. It is trying to get you to see the mechanism. Not so you can control it, because the desire to control it is itself part of the mechanism, but so you can become conscious of it. And consciousness, real consciousness, not thinking about consciousness, but the actual felt experience of awareness, aware of itself, changes everything. It changes everything because it introduces a new variable into the system. The observed system behaves differently than the unobserved system. This is not mysticism. This is the measurement problem, translated from the quantum scale to the human scale. And while the translation is metaphorical, the lived experience of it is as concrete as the chair you are sitting in. There is a practice embedded in nearly every version of this teaching, and it is so simple that the mind dismisses it almost immediately. The mind wants complexity. The mind wants a 17-step process with a workbook and a certification at the end. But the practice is this. Notice what you are noticing. That is it. Not change what you are noticing. Not judge what you are noticing. Not improve what you are noticing. Just notice that you are noticing. Become aware of your own awareness. When you do this, something peculiar happens. There is a moment, usually very brief at first, where you experience yourself as the space in which thoughts arise rather than as the thinker of the thoughts. You catch a thought forming, maybe a worry, maybe a judgment, maybe a craving, and for just an instant, you see it from the outside. You see it the way you might see a cloud passing through an open sky. The cloud is real. It has shape and density and movement, but it is not the sky. And you, in that moment, realize that you are not the cloud. You are the sky. You have always been the sky. The clouds were never the problem. Your identification with them was the problem. This is what the Upanishads mean when they say, neti neti, not this, not this. It is a process of disidentification, peeling away everything you are not in order to reveal what you are. And what you are, according to every version of this teaching, is awareness itself. Not a type of awareness, not your personal awareness. Awareness. The same awareness that is reading these words right now, the same awareness that looked out through your eyes when you were 4 years old, the same awareness that will be present in the moment of your death. It has not aged. It has not changed. It has not been damaged by anything that has happened to you. It watched all of it. It survived all of it. It is surviving this moment right now, effortlessly, without any technique or practice or effort on your part. And when you begin to operate from this awareness rather than from the conditioned patterns that usually run your life, you become untouchable in the deepest sense. Not because you have built a better defense, because you have realized there is nothing to defend. The thing you were protecting, the self-image, the story of who you are, the collection of preferences and aversions and wounds and triumphs that you call your identity, is not what you are. It is what you have been wearing. And you can set it down the way you set down a heavy coat at the end of a long winter. Now I want to address something directly, because if you have been on any kind of spiritual or self-development path, you have probably heard versions of this before, and there is a very specific reason it has not fully landed. The reason is that understanding this intellectually and embodying it are separated by a chasm that no amount of reading can cross. You can read every book on swimming ever written and still drown the first time you step into deep water. The knowledge has to move from your head into your body, from concept into felt experience, and that transition requires something that the mind resists with everything it has. It requires surrender, not the surrender of defeat, the surrender of a fist that has been clenched so long it has forgotten it is clenching, the surrender of finally exhaling after holding your breath for years. David Bohm, the physicist who worked alongside Einstein and later developed one of the most profound alternative interpretations of quantum mechanics, described reality as having two orders. The explicate order, which is the surface world we perceive with our senses, the world of separate objects and linear time and cause and effect. And the implicate order, which is the deeper reality from which the explicate order unfolds, a reality in which everything is enfolded into everything else, where separation is an illusion produced by the limits of perception. Bohm called this deeper reality the hollow movement, a flowing wholeness in which every part contains information about the whole, the way every fragment of a hologram contains the entire image. What makes Bohm's framework so important for what we are exploring is that he did not present this as philosophy. He presented it as physics. He argued, with mathematical rigor, that the apparently separate particles we observe at the quantum level are not actually separate. They are manifestations of an underlying undivided wholeness, like waves on the surface of an ocean. The waves look separate. They have different heights, different speeds, different locations, but they are all expressions of the same water. They are not connected to the ocean. They are the ocean, temporarily appearing as distinct forms. If Bohm is right, and there is substantial experimental evidence supporting the non-local connections he described, particularly the Bell test experiments that have confirmed quantum entanglement across distances where no signal could travel fast enough to explain the correlation, then the separation you feel between yourself and the world is not a fact. It is a perceptual artifact. It is what reality looks like from the explicate order. But from the implicate order, from the deeper level where the forbidden book operates, you and the world are not two things interacting. You are one thing, appearing as two. And this is where untouchability takes on its full meaning. Because if you are not separate from the field, then the field cannot attack you any more than your left hand can attack your right hand. Conflict, at the deepest level, is the field in tension with itself. And the resolution of that conflict is not victory. It is recognition. The moment you recognize that the force opposing you is not other than you, the charge drains out of the opposition. Not because you have conquered it, because you have seen through the illusion of separation that made it feel like an enemy in the first place. This does not mean you become passive. This is perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of every version of this teaching. Wu Wei is not passivity. The Tao Te Ching is explicit about this. Water is the softest thing in the world, and yet it carves through stone. It does not carve through stone by being aggressive. It carves through stone by being completely itself, by following its own nature without resistance, by flowing into every gap and crevice without forcing anything. The untouchable person acts the same way. They do not withdraw from the world. They engage with it more fully than most people ever dare. But they engage from a place of alignment rather than a place of friction. Their actions arise from the same source as the situation they are responding to, and because of that, their actions fit. They are effective without being forceful. They are powerful without being violent. They are precise without being rigid. Here is something I am genuinely curious about. When you think about your own life right now, where do you feel the most friction? The place where you are forcing rather than flowing? Share it in the comments, because sometimes just naming it out loud is the first crack in the pattern. There is a specific phenomenon in neuroscience that maps onto this beautifully. It is called flow state, and it was extensively studied by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi beginning in the 1970s. Flow is the state in which a person is so completely absorbed in an activity that the sense of self temporarily dissolves. Time distorts. Self-consciousness disappears. Action and awareness merge. The person is not thinking about what they are doing. They are doing it, purely and completely, without the usual internal commentary that accompanies most human activity. Athletes describe it as being in the zone. Musicians describe it as the music playing itself. Writers describe it as the words coming from somewhere else. What is happening in the brain during flow is remarkable. The prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for self-referential thinking, the constant narration of who you are and what you should be doing and how you are being perceived, goes quiet. It does not shut down entirely, but its activity decreases significantly. This is called transient hypofrontality. The inner critic, the inner narrator, the inner judge, all of these are prefrontal functions, and in flow they are temporarily suspended. What remains is pure awareness engaged with pure action. No gap between the doer and the deed. No separation between the observer and the observed. And here is what is extraordinary. In flow, people consistently report their highest levels of performance, creativity, and satisfaction. Not when they are trying hardest. Not when they are most self-conscious. not when they are monitoring and controlling and efforting, when they let go. When the self gets out of the way, when the doing happens through them rather than by them. This is Wu Wei. This is Nishkama Karma. This is the inner citadel. This is what the forbidden book has been trying to teach you in every language and every century, that your highest functioning, your deepest peace, your most effective action, all arise from the same place. And that place is accessed not by adding something to yourself, but by removing the interference pattern that your conditioned identity creates. You are the interference pattern. Or rather, what you think you are is the interference pattern. The fears, the insecurities, the need to be right, the need to be liked, the need to control outcomes, the constant comparison, the endless rehearsal of past and future. All of this is interference. It is static. It is noise overlaid on a signal that is, underneath it all, perfectly clear. And the book appears when you are ready, because readiness means the interference has thinned enough for the signal to get through. Think about what readiness actually involves. No one becomes ready by deciding to be ready. You cannot will yourself into readiness any more than you can will yourself into falling asleep. Sleep comes when you stop trying to sleep. Readiness comes when you stop trying to be ready. It comes through the accumulation of experiences that gradually strip away the layers of false certainty that were blocking your perception. Usually these experiences are painful, not because the universe is cruel, but because pain is the most efficient solvent for illusion. When everything you thought you knew turns out to be wrong. When the identity you built collapses. When the story you were telling about your life is suddenly revealed to be fiction. Something opens. Something that was clenched relaxes. And in that relaxation, in that moment of not knowing, the teaching can finally enter. This is why the book finds you after a crisis, after a loss, after a failure so complete that your old way of operating is no longer viable. You did not go looking for the book. The book was always there, but your hands were full. You were carrying so much, so many beliefs, so many defenses, so many identities, that you could not pick it up. The crisis emptied your hands, and suddenly, there it was. If you are feeling the weight of what we have been uncovering, there is something deeper I want to offer. Have you spent years chasing manifestation, visualizing, affirming, raising your vibration, only to watch the same patterns repeat? Every traditional method assumes the same thing, that you are separate from what you want. That separation was never real. You were chasing a signal you were already broadcasting. Beyond the frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery walks through all 9 frequencies. From the dense transmissions trapping you, through the ascending currents, to the master frequencies where consciousness becomes the field. Every method you tried sent a signal outward. This one tunes the signal you already are. Every day you delay, your nervous system broadcasts the same old signal, and breaking free gets harder. So move on it tonight. The link is in the pinned comment below. Now, let us return to the practice that makes this real. I want to offer you something specific now. Not a concept, an experience. And I want you to participate in it rather than just listen to it. Because the gap between understanding and embodiment is the gap between hearing about water and actually getting wet. Wherever you are right now, I want you to bring your attention to the sensation of your own breathing. Not the idea of breathing, the actual physical sensation. The feeling of air entering your nostrils, the slight coolness of the inhale, the slight warmth of the exhale, the expansion of your rib cage, the subtle rise and fall of your belly. Do not try to change your breathing. Do not try to breathe deeply or slowly or in any particular pattern. Just notice the breath that is already happening. It was happening before I mentioned it. It has been happening your entire life without your conscious participation. Something is breathing you. Now, as you notice the breath, notice the one who is noticing. Not with effort, not with strain. Just gently turn your attention toward the awareness that is aware of the breath. You will find that you cannot see it directly. You cannot grasp it. It is like trying to look at your own eyes without a mirror. But you can sense it. You can feel its presence. It is the space in which the breath is appearing. It is the silence in which these words are being heard. It is the stillness underneath all the movement of your thoughts and sensations and emotions. Stay there for a moment, not trying to achieve anything, not trying to feel a certain way, just resting in the awareness that you are aware. What you are resting in right now is what every version of the Forbidden Book is pointing to. It is not a state you have to create. It is what remains when you stop creating everything else. It is not something you achieve. It is what is already here when you stop achieving. And it is untouchable, not because it is protected, but because it has no surface. There is nothing for the world to grab onto. Insults pass through it. Praise passes through it. Success and failure pass through it. It remains exactly what it is, unchanged, undamaged, unmoved, while everything else rises and falls like weather. The Zen tradition has a koan that points at this with devastating simplicity. What was your face before your parents were born? It is not asking about genetics or reincarnation. It is asking you to look past every layer of acquired identity, past your name, your history, your personality, your body, your thoughts, and find what was there before all of it. What is there before any experience arises? What is there in the gap between two thoughts? And when you find it, when you taste it even for a moment, you understand why the book could not reach you before. Because before you were looking for something to add to yourself. Something to make you better, stronger, more spiritual, more enlightened. And the teaching is not an addition. It is a subtraction. It is the removal of everything that is not essential until only the essential remains. There is a term in physics called the ground state. It is the lowest energy state of a quantum mechanical system. It is not empty. In fact, quantum field theory reveals that the ground state, what we might call the vacuum, is seething with activity. Virtual particles are constantly appearing and disappearing. The zero-point energy of the vacuum is not zero, it is enormous. The ground state is not the absence of energy. It is the foundation from which all energy arises. It is the most fundamental level of reality, and everything else is an excitation on top of it. You have a ground state too, beneath your thoughts, beneath your emotions, beneath your sensations, beneath your identity. There is a ground state of awareness. And like the quantum vacuum, it is not empty. It is full. It is full of potential. It is the source from which every thought, every feeling, every experience, every version of you has ever arisen. And when you rest in it, when you stop identifying with the excitations and sink into the ground from which they emerge, you access a stability that nothing on the surface can shake. This is untouchability, not a fortress, a foundation. And the book the forbidden book, the one that chose you, is simply a set of instructions for finding your way back to this foundation. It does not give you anything you do not already have. It removes the forgetting. It dissolves the trance of separation that made you believe you were a fragile, isolated self in a hostile universe. It shows you, with a precision that is almost surgical, that the hostility you perceive in the world is a reflection of the war you are waging against yourself. And it shows you how to lay down your weapons, not through force, through recognition. Let me give you one more piece of this, because there is a specific mechanism that keeps most people locked out of this understanding, even after they have encountered it. And naming it precisely is the difference between another interesting video and an actual shift in your lived experience. The mechanism is this. Your nervous system is not neutral. It is shaped by every experience you have ever had, weighted heavily toward the earliest ones. Before you were 5 years old, your brain was operating primarily in theta wave frequency, a state of hypnotic suggestibility in which information is absorbed directly into the subconscious without critical filtering. Whatever happened to you during those years, whatever you were told about yourself and the world, whatever emotional atmosphere you were immersed in, was written directly into your operating system, not as memories you can access and evaluate, as programs that run automatically beneath the threshold of consciousness. By the time you are an adult, roughly 95% of your behavior, your emotional reactions, your perceptual filters, your habitual thought patterns are being run by these subconscious programs. You think you are making conscious choices. For the most part, you are executing code that was written by a child who did not understand what was happening to them. And this code determines what you can perceive. It literally filters your reality. If the code says the world is dangerous, your reticular activating system, the part of your brainstem that decides what sensory information reaches conscious awareness, will preferentially surface evidence of danger. If the code says you are not enough, your perception will selectively find confirmation of that belief in every interaction, every glance, every silence. This is why the book cannot reach you until you are ready. The subconscious programs are filtering it out. The teaching is saying you are the sky, and the programs are saying you are the cloud, and the programs have root access to your perception. They get to decide what reaches your conscious mind. So you can hold the book in your hands. You can read every word and the meaning slides off you like water off glass. Not because the meaning is not there, because your filters are not letting it through. Readiness, then, is not a mystical state. It is a neurological threshold. It is the point at which enough life experience has accumulated to create cracks in the subconscious programming. The cracks might come from suffering. They might come from a moment of unexpected beauty. They might come from exhaustion, from the sheer fatigue of maintaining a false identity for decades. But they come. And when they do, the signal that was always being broadcast finally reaches the receiver. The book opens, and this time, it opens you. What I am describing is not theory. It is a process you can engage with deliberately once you know it is happening. And the practice is not complicated, but it requires something that the modern world has almost entirely eliminated from human experience. It requires stillness. Not the stillness of sitting quietly while your mind races. The stillness of actually being present in your body, in this moment, without an agenda. Without trying to fix anything or figure anything out or get somewhere other than where you are. If something in this message is resonating with you, consider sharing it with someone you know who is going through their own moment of questioning or unraveling. When you pass this along, you are not just sharing a video, you are extending the signal at the exact frequency someone else might finally be ready to receive, and that act of recognition strengthens the awareness in both of you. Here is a practice you can take with you from this moment forward. It takes less than 60 seconds, and it can be done anywhere. When you notice that you are caught in a reactive pattern, when you feel the surge of anger or anxiety or defensiveness or craving, do not try to stop it. Do not try to change it. Instead, place your attention on the physical sensation in your body that accompanies the emotion. Not the story about the emotion, not the reason for the emotion, the raw sensation. Maybe it is a tightness in your throat. Maybe it is a heat in your chest. Maybe it is a churning in your stomach. Just find the sensation and stay with it. Breathe into it, not to make it go away, to let it know it is seen. What happens when you do this is subtle but profound. The sensation, which was driving the reactive pattern, begins to shift. Not because you forced it, because you witnessed it. The observed system behaves differently than the unobserved system. This is the measurement problem, lived. This is the observer effect, applied to your own inner world. And over time, as you practice this again and again, the subconscious programs begin to lose their grip. Not because you fought them, because you illuminated them. You brought consciousness to the places where consciousness had been absent. And in the light of awareness, the old patterns cannot maintain their structure. They dissolve the way shadows dissolve when you turn on a light. The shadows were never solid. They were the absence of light. Your reactive patterns are the same. They are the absence of awareness. And awareness is the only medicine they require. This is what the book teaches. This is what every version of the book, across every culture and every century, has been trying to transmit. Not a belief system, not a philosophy, a technology of attention, a way of using the instrument of consciousness so precisely that it cuts through the layers of conditioning and reveals the ground state underneath. And the ground state, as we have seen, is not empty. It is the fullest thing there is. It is the source of everything. And it is what you are. The reason this teaching keeps reappearing, the reason it cannot be suppressed or lost or forgotten, is that it is not information. Information can be destroyed. Libraries can burn. Languages can die. But this teaching is not stored in any library or language. It is stored in the structure of consciousness itself. It is what consciousness discovers when it turns its attention inward. It is the inevitable conclusion of any sufficiently deep investigation into the nature of the self. Every culture that has looked inward with enough patience and honesty has found the same thing, not because they influenced each other, because they were all looking at the same reality. And that reality is looking at you right now, through your own eyes, with your own awareness. It has been looking through you your entire life, waiting for the moment you would turn around and look back. And the fact that you are still here, still listening, still present with these words, suggests that the moment might be now. Not because I am saying anything you do not already know, but because something in you is finally ready to stop knowing it intellectually and start living it. The book chose you. That is not a metaphor. Something in the field of your experience arranged for this moment to happen. The algorithm, the timing, the impulse that made you click, the fact that you did not scroll past. All of it is the implicate order unfolding into the explicate. All of it is the deeper pattern expressing itself through the surface of your life. And the question is not whether you believe that. The question is whether you are willing to act as if it is true and see what happens. Because here is what happens when you act from the ground state rather than from the surface patterns. Your decisions change, not through effort, through clarity. When you are not being run by fear, you do not make fear-based decisions. When you are not being run by the need for approval, you do not contort yourself into shapes that other people want to see. When you are not being run by the scarcity program that was installed in you before you could speak, you stop hoarding and start flowing. And the world responds to this shift in ways that look like magic from the outside, but are actually just physics. The physics of resonance, the physics of coherence, the physics of a system that is finally aligned with its own nature, and therefore no longer generating the friction that was consuming most of its energy. You have been spending enormous amounts of energy maintaining an identity that is not yours. Keeping up appearances, managing perceptions, rehearsing conversations, defending positions you do not actually hold, wanting things you do not actually want because someone told you that wanting them is what a successful person does. All of this is energy. And when you stop spending it on the maintenance of a false self, that energy becomes available for something else. For creation, for love, for presence, for the kind of action that arises from alignment and therefore accomplishes more with less effort than anything you have ever forced into being. The untouchable person is not someone who has transcended their humanity. They are someone who has finally, fully arrived in it. They feel everything. They are moved by beauty and broken by loss and lit up by connection. But they are not owned by any of it. They do not cling to the pleasant or push away the painful. They let it all move through them the way music moves through a room. The room does not try to hold the music. The room does not try to stop the music. The room just provides the space in which the music can exist. And when the music ends, the room is still there. Unchanged. Ready for the next sound. Ready for the next silence. You are that room. You have always been that room. The book did not come to teach you something new. It came to remind you of something you forgot. Something so fundamental, so obvious, so ever-present, that it was hiding in plain sight. Like the eye that cannot see itself. Like the knife that cannot cut itself. Like the awareness that is so busy being aware of everything else that it never notices. It is the one thing that is always, already here. If you are still listening, something in you recognized this. Not learned it. Recognized it. The way you recognize your own face in a mirror. Not because someone described your face to you, because you saw it. And seeing it, you knew it had always been yours. This is your invitation, not to believe anything, not to adopt a new philosophy, not to become spiritual or enlightened or any other label that the mind loves to collect, just to practice for the rest of today the simplest possible version of this teaching. Notice what you are noticing. When you catch yourself lost in a thought, do not judge the thought. Just notice that you noticed. That noticing is the gap. That gap is the doorway. And what is on the other side of that doorway is what you have been looking for in every book you have ever opened, every relationship you have ever entered, every achievement you have ever chased. It is the ground state. It is home. And you do not have to travel anywhere to reach it. You just have to stop traveling. You just have to stop. and notice that you are already here. The book found you today, not because you searched for it, because you were ready. And readiness is not something you did. It is something that happened when everything you were pretending to be got tired enough to sit down. So let it sit. Let the pretending rest. And in the silence that follows, listen. Not to these words, to what is underneath them, to the awareness that is hearing them, to the stillness that was here before I started speaking and will be here long after I stop. That stillness is not something you have. It is something you are. And nothing in this world or any other can touch it. If this reached you, if something in you shifted even slightly, sit with it. Do not rush to the next video. Do not immediately look for more information. The mind will want to keep seeking, because seeking is how it stays in control. But what you found today is not more information. It is the space in which all information arises, and that space does not need more content. It needs your attention, so give it that, even for 5 minutes. Close your eyes after this ends and just be the awareness that you are. That is the entire practice. That is the whole book. And now that you have read it, the only question left is whether you will live it. Subscribe if you want to go deeper. Leave a comment if something specific landed, because naming it makes it real. And come back when you are ready for the next page. It will be here. It has always been here. Just like you.